I've been asked by a couple viewers why it is that I am so terrified of fire. And the answer to that is really fairly simple. I had a bad year once when I was 14. And it started off with one incident and rolled on into several others. But the first incident I had involved, well, this swather when it was one piece. Now I was out working the field, swathing, laying down hay, and what happened was I had a bearing go out on the draper roller. Started to get hot. Well, I was about 5 miles from the nearest house, which would have been Simonson's. Actually, Matt, or Captain Commando, as you guys may know him, his home place where his parents live. So I was about 5 miles from there, and all I had was my bike. So I walked back to my bike, got back to Simonson's, and called my sister, who came and got me. So I get back to the shop and get the tools and parts that I needed for repair, and she wouldn't take me back in the field. So I figured, okay, well, I'll walk back to the swather, leave the parts here, and come back, and I can fix it when I get to the other end. So I started swathing my way back, the better part of 3/4 to a mile, back to the other end of the field. So I get to the other end of the field and I hear this snap, crackle, pop. And picked up the header. Sure as shit I had a fire going on underneath there, the hay that had built up on the bottom of the drapers. So all I had was a gallon jug of water, dumped that on it, didn't do any good, tried stomping it out and just spread it out a little bit, and pretty soon it was gone, beyond my control. So I pedaled my bike as fast as I could back to Simonson's, where, you know, obviously they called the fire department, and some guys that were out doing field work were already on the scene, and called the community volunteer fire assistance, and anyways got the fire out. Well, it had fried the header, burnt up the front tires, didn't get to the motor, and thank God it didn't get to the gas tank. You can kind of see where the fire was, the heat damage there and such. Well, some money being tight, we did what we had to, and turned around, put a set of pickup tires on this swather, and ran it for another 1,500 acres. We swathed a lot of hay that year, all with a burnt up old swather. So it was shortly after that incident, and Matt and I were in the shop trying to start the 73 International before we had gotten the motor rebuilt. And so we're in the back of the shop, and it wasn't running quite right. So I was pouring a little bit of gas down the carburetor, and lo and behold, it backfires on me. Catches my can of gas, and lit that all on fire. I was actually right about there in the shop before this inner portion was built. And so what did I do with that can of gas that I'd lit on fire but throw it all over the side of the truck? And naturally the fire caught on the gas, and Matt was stuck inside the truck, and I ran screaming out of the shop, hollering for help. Well, Matt had not had a recently traumatic event, and managed to get out of the truck and get the fire put out by the time I got back. I was all up in a panic. So then, shortly after that, couldn't have been more than a week or so after that now, I had our feed grinder sitting in the shop. In this portion, before the inner part of the shop was built. And I was welding right on this vise with a can of gas right down there that I had used to clean parts with. So I had my piece clamped up in here, and I'm welding away. Thought I saw some light through my welding helmet. So I picked up my welding helmet, and lo and behold, there was a fire down below me. I wasn't real happy. So I grabbed the bucket, and I thought, well, okay, well, I'll just let it burn out, you know. And so I set the bucket down, not dawning on me, it's a plastic bucket full of gas. So I set the bucket down and immediately, or didn't immediately, but shortly after realized that that bucket's going to melt. So I threw a tarp over top of it. Well, then the tarp caught fire. So I threw the tarp out the door, grabbed the bucket, and tossed it all over outside right there. Now at this point, we didn't keep fire extinguishers around the shop. Too expensive, and didn't see the need for them until that particular moment in time. So I threw the gas all over out there. And the bale wagon was parked there. Got up underneath the bale wagon, started the bale wagon on fire. Oh, it was a great big fiasco. So Dad comes running up, and luckily he had the sense of mind to grab a shovel full of dirt, and then I started following suit, and we eventually got it put out. So those three events all happened within about 5-6 weeks of each other. Well, from the first one to the last one over the summer, and ever since then I've been terrified of fire. I mean, there's been some other events that have gone on. My brother was almost killed in a fire, playing with gas and diesel, you know. But so ever since then, I've been absolutely terrified of fire. I can do some things, you know. For the most part, I can keep a fairly straight head on my shoulders. And I've gotten a lot better about it, but I still insist on having a fire extinguisher at my hand at all times. It's a terrible fear of mine ever since then. I almost lost the shop twice and lost a swather, and, well, damn near lost a swather. I guess we were able to repair it and do some more swathing, but yeah, I'm getting a lot better about it, but it's still not quite over. Just absolutely terrifies me. So, that's the story.